好，大家晚上好啊！咁歡迎嚟到我哋星期三晚咧嘅 Zoom meeting 啦。咁今晚又係我啦，Susanna 咧同大家去做一個分享喎。咁今日咧都會同大家咧去講解咧我哋 Lifewave 咧嘅新嘅科技喎。咁究竟咧 Lifewave 嘅科技咧有幾犀利，同埋咧佢又有幾前瞻性咧？咁我今晚咧就想同大家咧去分享下啦。亦都咧係讓到大家咧更加了解 Lifewave 成個公司咧嘅歷史同埋發展嘅方向喎。咁咧上一個星期咧，我講咗一部分，但係其實咧因為咧有好多信息要同大家分享，咁所以咧我留翻一部分就今日去講。咁我首先咧都想咧去條片，俾大家咧去睇一睇咧我哋嘅 Lifewave 啦，我哋嘅 founder 啦，David Smith 咧係點樣去創業嘅時候，佢遇到啲咩問題，同埋咧佢點樣去高呼呢一個問題喎。咁咧我將個英文版咧就轉晒中文字幕噶啦，希望咧大家都可以咧去了解多啲，因為咧呢個故事就係成為咗我哋今日點解 Lifewave 係 Lifewave，同埋點解我哋係一間科技公司啦。好，咁我一齊去片俾大家睇下啦。
You work a lot of hours. They're always thinking about the well-being of others first. Talking about money, they're always thinking about the well-being of others. And to me, that's one of their signatures of being such amazing leaders, is that they care about the people in their organization. So nice round of applause for Steve and Gina Merritt. And while we're at it, I want to take the opportunity to thank Meredith. You know, it takes an incredible amount of time and energy to run a business. I know, because I've been doing it for so long. And to have the opportunity to spend more time in the lab developing these technologies, thinking more about the future of the business and where it is that we want to go, to have someone like Meredith, who's so spiritually oriented and is thinking about doing the greatest good possible with this company. It's such a blessing to have her with Lifewave. So a nice round of applause for Meredith Burkett. So I want to take some time to talk to you all for a moment. We're not going to use any PowerPoints. We're not going to use any videos. I want to have a little chat with you. And I want to talk to you about some of the things that have happened in the past in Lifewave and where we're going in the future. Because it's so important that we have a roadmap, that we have a business plan for how we're going to get from where we are today to where we're going in the future. In 2006, we nearly went out of business. We were the victim of a credit card fraud scandal. There was a person that set up a fake position. They were using stolen credit cards that they had gotten from Russia, ordering product, earning commissions that they weren't entitled to. And by the time we detected that fraud, there was already about $1 million worth of product that had been shipped out, and we had paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in commissions. And at that time, we were a small company, and the effects were devastating. This happened in end of September, beginning of October of 2006. And by December of that year, we had lost 50% of our brand partners. And most people had thought Lifewave was never going to make that. It was about a week before Christmas. We had payroll coming up, and we didn't have any money to pay the staff. So I went into my bank account, and I emptied my bank account, and I put all of that money into the company so we could make payroll, and so that people wouldn't have to tell their families they didn't have any money for Christmas. And I didn't know how I was going to make payroll the next month, but I just kind of trusted, okay, well, if I can't make payroll the next month, at least I gave everybody a Christmas, and we can figure out what we're going to do. And fortunately, through divine intervention, the number of brand partners and customers that we had in the company was just enough to cover our monthly expenses. So we went this way for a number of months, each week not knowing how we were going to pay bills, not knowing if we were going to stabilize or not, or if we were going to continue down. And it was around March of 2007, and we had our corporate office in San Diego. And every Sunday, I would go for a walk on the beach. I'd take 3 hours to go for a walk on the beach and pray. And I would use that time to try to commune with God and say, I know this is what I'm supposed to do with my life, but I don't know how I'm supposed to get through this. And I kept hearing this message, well, it's in fire that gold is purified. And that I had to go through this challenge to deepen my faith in God and trust in God. And just keep being patient, being persistent, and try to push my way through it. So it was in March of 2007, and I came home on a Friday night, and there was a letter from the IRS. And I thought to myself, I don't know if I can take any more. And maybe what I'll do is I'll try to have a nice weekend, and I will open this letter on Monday. And then I thought, this is kind of silly. I got to man up on this, and whatever it is, I just have to deal with it. So I opened this letter from the IRS, and inside was a check for $163,000. And as it turned out, we had overpaid on our taxes the year before, and I wasn't aware of it. And so in this case, God decided to use the IRS of all organizations to save this company. And so we budgeted that money, and it lasted through the end of the year. We were able to pay our vendors. Of course, commissions were always paid first. We were able to get through the year. I went 16 months without getting paid to get through that. But I believed in that this company was going to survive. And so I was willing to bet my life on it. And we got to the end of 2007, turning into 2008. And we started to have leaders in Europe show up that started to build the business. And in 2008, the sales were double of 2007. 2009, the sales were double of 2008. In 2010, they were double of 2009, and we were back on our way, and we were doing really well. So the message in all of this is that you're going to face challenges in your life. You're going to face hard times, but it's those moments where you find out who you really are. Are you really committed to your vision, to your dream? Are you willing to do what it takes to succeed? And when you come out the other side, you're grateful that you went through that, because it's like, I climbed this mountain and I made it to the top. And now I have the rest of my life in front of me, and it's going to be amazing. I know that you work.
好啦，我哋咧聽到啦，阿 David 去分享啦，咁其實咧 Lifewave 係真係不來不易嘅公司啦，亦都喺佢從來冇做過直銷嘅業務，咁佢決定用直銷咧，原因係因為可以廣泛地咧去散佈到俾多啲嘅人，亦都因為美國太大啦，佢好難每一個地方都去開一個點，同埋去揾人去做銷售嗰個工作，咁所以咧喺一個新人啦加入一個直銷行業咧，就俾一啲嘅國際犯罪集團啦。 就去利用佢呢個平台去斂財啦，同埋咧係用啲盜用嘅信用卡去呃咗佢一大筆錢啦。咁其實咧 Lifewave 係經歷咗唔容易、好艱難嘅時間咧，先至咧一步一步咧有今時今日嘅。我哋去年咧係做咗6億嘅生意，係600個美金 million 嘅$㗎。咁好啦 ，Lifewave 嘅產品咧，我哋咧都知道啦，我哋係一個光療貼片，我哋係用光線嘅頻率去注入我哋嘅貼片當中，從而咧去激活我哋自己嘅身體嘅細胞咧，去做一個嘅調節噶咯。咁咧，我哋呢一個光療科技咧，咁其實咧就係用一個唔同嘅頻率變壓啦，就將呢啲光線入邊嘅唔同頻率，將佢咧就係注入去呢一塊貼片度啦。咁然後咧，我哋只係需要貼喺我哋嘅身體啦，我哋配合健康嘅飲食同埋飲水啦，咁我哋就能夠咧讓到我哋嘅細胞去為我哋自己嘅身體做運作，而呢一個產品係完全冇任何化學物質，亦都冇藥嘅成分，咁所以係非常安全，亦都唔會引發一啲嘅副作用。而我哋咧嘅產品啦，咁其實我哋有好多唔同類型嘅貼片產品啦，包括我哋有 X49啦，將我哋嘅幹細胞加強嘅產品啦，亦都有 X39提升我哋幹細胞數量嘅產品，亦都有 Eon 啦，可以能夠咧減低我哋嘅炎症，增加我哋嘅體力，幫助我哋消除疲勞啦嘅一個產品啦。咁亦都有咧排毒谷胱甘肽，咁好多谷胱甘肽產品其實係用食藥啦，食一啲supplement啦，但係我哋嘅谷胱甘肽唔需要身體去分解，係直接貼喺身度飲杯水一個24小時，係一日24小時能夠產生300% 嘅谷胱甘肽喺你自己嘅體內，咁所以用咗谷胱甘肽嘅產品咧，係能夠幫助我哋美白啦、排毒啦，亦都係能夠排除我哋身體嘅重金屬喎。咁我哋亦都有咧卡路神啦，卡路神呢個產品咧就係能夠基肽啦，幫助我哋心腦血管啦，亦都幫助我哋嘅心律不正，同時能夠咧增加我哋細胞125% 嘅能力，改善我哋嘅消化系統。所以如果有胃痛有唔舒服嘅朋友，可以直接將卡路神呢個貼片貼喺你個胃部嘅喎。咁佢亦都係唯一一個貼片產品能夠排除腦部嘅重金屬，咁所以對一啲嘅腦退化啦，一啲嘅專注力不足啦，因為重金屬而引起一啲嘅思維紊亂嘅情況咧，都係能夠透過基肽呢個產品去得到改善嘅。咁我哋亦都有止痛嘅貼片啦，30秒開始發揮效果，2分鐘去除80%嘅痛楚喎。咁我哋有能量嘅貼片啦，能夠幫助我哋提升體力，幫助我哋燃燒脂肪，亦都促進我哋嘅血液循環咯。今日咧，我咧就幫一個咧名門阿太啦，就用一對嘅 Energy Enhancer 貼喺耳背呢個位置度。咁其實只係咧半個鐘頭，佢塊面嘅水腫就退去咗，成個樣精緻咗。咁呢個阿太咧，真係都覺得話好過去做 facial 嚇。咁咧，如果你哋咧想試下嘅，都可以將呢一對嘅 Energy Enhancer 擺喺你哋耳背翳風穴呢個位置，白色貼喺右邊，啡色貼喺左邊。我哋嘅產品就係咁神奇、咁簡單，就可以改善到我哋唔同嘅身體問題。另外，我哋亦都有咧平衡荷爾蒙嘅貼片，就係 SP6啦。咁亦都能夠咧，佢係幫助我哋減低我哋對糖分嘅需要，輸送一個足夠糖分嘅信息，讓到我哋咧身體咧係可以平衡到荷爾蒙啦，重啟我哋細胞嘅機制之餘啦，亦都能夠控制我哋嘅食慾嘅喎。咁而我哋亦都有平安嘅貼片啦，幫助我哋深層睡眠啦，幫我哋咧提升我哋嘅褪黑激素，亦都幫助我哋嘅睡眠嘅深度咧係可以提高66% 嘅喎。而我哋都有活力嘅產品咧，就專門針對皮膚嘅問題啦，由日霜、晚霜去到貼片，由內而外去改善我哋嘅皮膚。而我哋嘅晚霜咧係可以代替一啲嘅類固醇嘅皮膚藥物。而我哋嘅產品係100% 天然，係能夠食落肚，真係冇任何嘅防腐劑。咁所以咧，對於有皮膚病患嘅朋友，記得買多支晚霜，可以將佢代替一個藥膏去使用。你會發現你嘅皮膚嘅修復速度係加快。 咁呢個就係我哋主要嘅產品啦。咁另外啦，建議使用位置，好多朋友都會問我，Susanna 究竟應該貼喺邊度咧？其實大家千祈唔好諗得太複雜。我哋嘅貼片已經有每一個貼片建議使用位置，而呢啲建議使用位置係通過臨床去得到大部分人都有效果嘅一個主要穴位嚟嘅。例如 X39，我哋其實主要係貼喺頸椎、大椎穴或者丹田、氣海穴呢兩個位置咧，咁已經能夠咧係推動我哋嘅全身嘅運作。所以你可能你會覺得，我腳痛喎，我可以直接將 X39貼落隻腳度，或者你其實貼落個丹田或者頸椎，你轉個頭，你個腳痛都會開始改善，因為我哋嘅身體每一個嘅細胞同埋我哋嘅穴位係互通嘅，咁佢係會有一個反射區，同埋佢會輸送信息去到我哋需要呢個頻率嘅地方。所以咧，你只係需要貼喺身體，配合飲水，其實個效果就會發揮。而你貼啱個穴位咧，係會令到個速度嗰個時間減短，速度加快咯。咁而大家見到呢一幅圖，你可以 cap 低佢啦。咁我成日都分享呢幅圖，因為呢幅圖已經將 Lifewave 所有嘅產品建議貼喺邊個位置咧，已經表明咗出嚟。我哋有兩款產品係有一對嘅，就係包括能量貼片同埋止痛貼片 Lifewave。咁呢兩個貼片就要一對一齊使用嘅，一粒啡色，一粒白色。咁能量貼片咧就白色貼喺右邊，啡色貼喺左邊。而止痛貼片咧有唔同嘅方法，大家可以參考下你嘅說明書，亦都可以參考下我哋咧個 LifeChangers.1 呢個 website 咧就可以有講解嘅。咁亦都咧係每一個貼片咧有唔同嘅位置，我會建議大家轉換唔同嘅位置去試下自己身體嘅反應。咁而咧 SP6 咧，好似有個平衡荷爾蒙咧，有3個點，就每一次都轉一個位，讓到你嘅身體唔同嘅穴位都得到刺激，從而有整體上邊嘅改善啦。咁我希望呢個簡單嘅講解咧，大家都會明白。咁如果詳細你都可以問翻你介紹你入嚟呢個 Zoom 嘅朋友啦，咁佢點樣使用呢個貼片嘅產品喎？咁而咧，我跟住落嚟咧，都有一段咧，就係想咧同大家講下 X39點解會出現啦。而 X39其實最初發明嘅時候咧，原來係打算俾醫生去使用嘅。咁我哋不如一齊聽下David 點樣去解釋佢嘅 X39嘅出現啦。
And then sometimes life throws you another curveball. And that happened 10 years later to the month. And it was 2016. We had been doing fine. We had tried a lot of different things to kind of break out. We were stuck between 20 million, 40 million a year, and we were stuck trying to find a way to break out of this. And in 2016, we did a product launch. We got about a week where everything was looking great. And then we implemented a new software program, a new back office system, and everything crashed. And we went for weeks where the system wasn't taking orders, it wasn't working properly. And by the middle of December, we were back where we were before, where we had lost about half the people in the company. And we turned into 2017, and I thought, okay, I lived through this before. And I thought this was maybe something karmic. You know, if you want to put a word on it, I don't know what else to word you would put on this. But why did this show up exactly 10 years later? And it's not going to happen again, by the way, because I took care of that. I'll tell you that story another day. But I thought, okay, I've been through this before. And having that experience in 2007 kind of made me battle hardened to where psychologically I was in the place where, okay, I know to form a plan. I need to take action. I know what to do with the finances of the company, where we need to cut and save to survive. It was tough. It was really tough. but we were able to float along and survive. And I was going into work each day, and it was very stressful. You could feel the stress on the staff. And there came a point where I thought, I'm tired of being on defense. I'm tired of going into work and patching holes in the dam and trying to figure out how to survive. I want to be on offense. I want to have a way that we can get people excited about this company, but how is that going to happen? And we had been doing stem cell research at that point for almost 10 years. And we had put $4.5 million into research at that point. And we had some phenomenal experiences. We had a ton of patents. The problem was the technology that I had been developing was really more suitable for hospitals. This was something, as we found out later, that it was going to take maybe $100 million to get this through FDA, and they were never going to let the technology go over the counter. It would have had to have gone through hospitals. So it's like, okay, there's no way that we're going to get this ever into the network, but the amount of information that we've learned over this period of time, how can we go ahead and apply this in a way that people can benefit from it, people can use this, it will be safe, effective, affordable. How can we take this? This is a piece of equipment that potentially could cost millions of dollars. How exactly are we going to make this affordable and safe for everyone so a doctor doesn't have to prescribe it? So fortunately, I love Iron Man and Tony Stark. And Tony Stark, when he has a problem, he always goes into his lab, or he gets isolated into his cave and he starts to invent. And that's what I did. And I went into my lab and I went home and I isolated myself and I started digging through my notes and praying over this and looking for a flash of insight. That's kind of the way that it works with inventors, is that you are in an altered state of consciousness, you might say. It would be like when you're fasting for a very long period of time and your brain shifts into an entirely different state. It's kind of like that. And you get this burst that goes off in the brain, and there's this idea, and you can visualize it in your mind. You can see it clearly, and it resonates as truth. And it was at this moment that X39 was born. And I could see it so clearly. And so I started getting to work, and I had to come up with an entirely new way of making the patches, something that I hadn't tried before. I thought, okay, this is kind of the way that I see this, visualize it. This was the information that was downloaded. So let me go ahead and try to do this. And the first samples of X39 came out, started to test them in my lab. I said, okay, this is something special. This looks really, really good. And then, of course, we started to set up clinical studies. And I told my staff about it. And I said, I have this new patch, and we're going to go ahead and start putting together a program to manufacture, market this, do the clinical research. And this is what the patch will do. But I didn't want to tell them how the patch worked. I thought, for a period of time, I want to keep this to myself. So they asked me, well, can you at least tell us the name of the patch? And I thought back to Marvel movies, and Infinity War had just come out. And I said, the name of the patch is Stormbreaker. because we were in a storm and we needed something for us to get out of that storm. So we had a code name internally in our office of Stormbreaker. That's how we referred to this patch. And in June of 2018, we had our first webinar with leaders, and we had done clinical studies, we saw the outcomes, but now it was time to introduce this to the leaders. And you never really know how people are going to react to this concept. And I thought, I know I've been doing the stem cell thing for 10 years now, and I kind of get it, but are we going to be able to communicate that to the leaders? Are they going to really appreciate the potential significance of this? And of course, the rest, as they say, is history. The leaders were excited. But I want to point out Jan Wiegel for a second. I don't want to put him on the spot. But we had our leadership team, and we were seeing these incredible, it was August of 2018. We were seeing these incredible testimonials, and the leadership was saying, you could charge $300, $400 a month with this. No problem. People will pay it because it's worth that. And Jan said in our leadership group, if you want everyone to have it, if you want everyone to benefit, the right thing to do is make it affordable to everybody. It's worth more than the other patches, but charge an amount that everybody can afford. And this is why we work together as a team. And thank you, Jan, for that recommendation. It's obviously the right thing to do. We appreciate that. So undoubtedly, we're going to have challenges that we're going to face together in the years ahead. I don't think of Lifewave anymore as being a billion-dollar company. I don't want the Merits here to get scared because they're terrified right now. No, they're not. They're laughing, which is good. No, I actually think of Lifewave as doing tens of billions of dollars a year. Because the goal of the company has shifted dramatically. Given that we've reached this level of success, I'd be the first one to tell you that I would never have thought that we would be getting into manufacturing drones for humanitarian aid. I never would have thought we would have been building clean energy sources to power homes or power electric vehicles. But this is the path that we're being led down, and doors are opening up. So it must be the path that God has intended for us, because everything has just worked out incredibly well.
好啦，我哋咧呢一段咧就睇到啦，David 咧去研發 X39嘅時候咧，最初咧佢係想將呢個產品咧推去俾醫院希望啲醫生去使用啦，從而咧讓到咧我哋嘅民眾啦可以用一個好平、好能夠幫助我哋身體去自然愈合同埋自然修復嘅。但係咧，原來喺嗰個過程入邊咧，就當然遇到好多唔同嘅困難啦，同埋去註冊上邊嘅困難啦。咁而後來咧，咁呢個產品咧，亦都咧佢最後係決定用一個好實惠嘅價錢，人人能負擔得起嘅幹細胞激活貼片。咁而呢一個產品係市場唯一完全冇入侵性，唔使打針，亦都唔使食用任何嘅藥物，只係貼喺身體就能夠激活我哋嘅幹細胞。而幹細胞嘅激活係會帶嚟好多嘅益處，包括我哋一啲嘅慢性嘅疾病咧，係可以慢慢改善。我哋能夠有更加好嘅活力啦，能夠瞓得更好，能夠促進我哋嘅免疫系統運作，能夠緩解我哋嘅疼痛，亦都能夠提升我哋嘅認知功能。我有好多腦退化嘅 老人家佢哋用咗 X39之後啦，好短時間見到佢哋精靈咗，記憶力翻嚟，咁亦都能夠咧改善我哋嘅皮膚質素啦，減少我哋嘅細紋皺紋，同埋咧增加我哋傷口自然愈合個程序喎。因為 X39就係我哋身體原始嘅細胞，當我哋呢個原始嘅幹細胞激活咗之後，佢能夠去變成我哋身體需要嘅物質，可以變成我哋嘅組織，可以變成一個血管，甚至乎變成我哋個器官，去慢慢去修復我哋身體有需要嘅地方。而最 amazing 嘅就係呢個產完全冇入侵性嘅。咁而喺前20年啦，Lifewave 係用光頻反射我哋人體自然嘅光啦，生物嘅光去入到去我哋嘅身體，而令到我哋身體我哋嘅貼片產品能夠透過呢啲嘅光嘅頻率，細胞同細胞之間能夠順利地去溝通，從而啟動我哋自己身體嘅修復能力喎。咁而接下來嘅20年咧，我哋亦都係會注入一個光波嘅儀器，進入一個更先進嘅科技，直接將細胞帶入去我哋嘅身體，而我哋亦都會將更多嘅生物光頻帶入去我哋嘅身體喎。咁我哋咧係需要作出改變，你都見到啦，其實 Lifewave 係不斷面對挑戰，不斷面對轉變，創新係令到我哋咧係成為光嘅存在咧，亦都係能夠咧幫助到更多唔同嘅人。而呢個技術其實亦都係上帝賦予我哋自己身體 DNA 嘅奇蹟互相嘅聯繫嘅，亦都咧係我哋自己嘅生命電池，希望我哋能夠咧成為一個光喎。咁我哋咧有一條片啦，咁其實咧就係由一個嘅非常之出名嘅一個嘅導演去為 David 去拍嘅，因為 David 嚟緊佢將會有更多嘅新發明，而呢個新發明咧係由佢好細個開始就係去研究出嚟嘅咯喎。咁呢一個片段咧，我哋又一齊嚟睇下咯喎。
I was about 7 years old, and we had a family get-together at my grandparents' house. And one of my uncles was an inventor for Bell Labs, an extremely successful inventor.
Sweet dreams, little friends. And now for the Mandarin. First, I better check my energy gauge.
My cousins, they said, hey, let's break away from the adults, and we want to go take a look at something. So we went up into the attic. Being in that environment, something started to really resonate with me. I just thought this was the coolest thing. got up there, there was something covered by this blanket. My cousins took the blanket off, and I saw this incredible machine. It had all of these tubes, electronic controls, dials, and I was immediately fascinated. It was then that I knew that I want to be an inventor when I grow up. My name is David Schmidt. I am a husband, father, inventor, and the CEO and founder of Lifewave. From when I was young, I always had an interest in exploring the world and learning about how things work. We didn't have the distraction of cell phones and computers, so I spent a lot of time outside with my friends, exploring the natural world, looking at insects, going for walks in the woods, and trying to understand how all these things in nature function and enjoying the beauty of it.
So we've asked science to tell us who we are. We have an answer, and many scientists are not comfortable with where that answer is leading.
The origin of life problem is, I think most scientists today claim that that is the most difficult problem, and we still face it. Sometimes people talk about, well, we could create life in the lab, but in that case, it's usually an intelligent design explanation because you have the scientists with their intelligence bringing together chemicals, not that they find in nature, but from a chemical supply company, and then putting them together in some very intentional way.
Science is arriving at the place where our ancestors invited us to begin. And that is with the understanding that we are part of, rather than separate from, the world around us. Could it be that who or whatever is responsible for us left us a message? If this is true, where would we look for proof?
God has left his fingerprint in nature and in natural design. And by studying nature with this perspective, we can unlock some secrets that have been hidden. The DNA is thought of as a reservoir or a repository of information, but actually it's much, much more than that.
There's a message encoded into the DNA of all life. What it says is that the elements that make us who we are not random. And as we begin to embrace what that means, that we're part of everything that we see happening in the world, it gives new meaning to what it means to be human. Not only are we more than the product of random processes, but we are designed to interact with the world around us as well as the world within us.
In our DNA, there is actually a link to the ether where light is emitted.
Light is information. We are constantly receiving information and transmitting information into the world around us, into the field around us.
Light, as it turns out, is the primary control mechanism for everything else that happens in the body. If we can understand the language of the DNA, the code by which this all works, that means we can use light in an entirely different way to improve our health, our quality of life, and even change the way we age. What if we could have an external electromagnetic field that would essentially reset the stem cells that are already in our bodies and get them to function like younger, healthier cells? What if we could embed wavelengths of light into water that would trigger the regenerative mechanisms and cause people to heal at a rate as when they were younger? What if we actually found out that in a book that was written thousands of years ago. That information already existed. The first sentence of the book of Genesis is about, in the beginning, how God created the heavens and the earth. So when God was creating the heavens and the earth, there was a mathematical blueprint, and that blueprint shows up in nature. And it happens to show up in organisms that don't age. The mathematical codes are identical. The implications to this are absolutely extraordinary.
There's a new philosophy that is emerging in the scientific community. And the philosophy simply says that consciousness informs itself through its creations. And I think it's no accident that it's only now, at this time in history, only now, we find the message that reveals the deep truth of our existence. The question is, what is our potential? What are the limits of a human body?
What drives me is that there's this enormous sense of hope that we can create technology to generate clean energy, that we can have foods that aren't genetically modified, and we can meet all of the needs on the planet that we have to, and that we can heal people and give them their lives back. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. There is more information there than most people would ever realize.
好啦，大家一定會好好奇，其實咧，阿 David 咧由第一個發明開始咧，能量嘅光波貼去到咧，我哋將會咧推出嘅咧光療水儀咧，其實全部都係一個聖經上邊咧去得到嘅信息，同埋咧係將佢嘅解碼喎。咁而咧拍呢條咧紀錄片啦嘅人咧就係叫做 Mickey Willis 啊。咁咧佢其實係一個非常之出名嘅導演咧，而佢只係拍一啲嘅真實嘅事件。咁咧佢最近咧亦都有一個著作啦，大家有時間有興趣嘅話咧，亦都可以去睇一睇呢個 pandemic 啊。咁佢就將咧 pandemic 一個嘅真相咧去講咗出嚟啊。咁其實咧就亦都咧係呢一個嘅短片咧非常之轟動嘅。咁咧我亦都咧會稍後將佢咧放上去 YouTube channel 嘅。咁就無約世界嗰度啦。咁大家咧都可以去睇。咁亦都咧我都希望咧就係點解Mickey Willis 咧會幫David 去做一個嘅記錄咧，因為其實 David 所做嘅嘢其實係真實，而有好多人仲係唔相信呢個世界嘅一個主宰同埋一個存在啦。但係其實原來咧，聖經已經記載晒所有嘅嘢，亦都呢個密碼解碼之後咧，就令到 David 去發明咗好多嘅新嘅科技。喺2025年，我哋首季將會推出 Lifewave 嘅首個營養補充品啦，同埋光療水儀。呢部嘅水儀咧，其實係能夠幫助我哋嘅身體啦，去推動透過水去承載一啲嘅光頻帶到入我哋嘅身體。咁我哋好多人都會 challenge 係咪真係得嘅咧？咁我上一次解說過啦。咁 Lifewave 呢個光療水儀嘅內部係由獨一無二嘅物料去製造，而呢個物料亦都係 David 去發明嘅喎。咁咧而咧呢一個物料叫做新嘅氧化石物質，係有效將光注入水中，令到嘅水能夠注入能量喎。咁而咧係水原來要通過一啲嘅金屬去結合，讓到佢有承載光頻嘅能力喎。咁而呢個新嘅物質啦，咁咧亦都咧係喺今年咧20週年嘅係 Lifewave 嘅紀念金牌啦。咁我哋一啲嘅指定嘅 SPD 啦，我哋係會獲得呢一個嘅呢個物質製造嘅一個嘅紀念牌喎。咁亦都咧係由一個新嘅氧化石製造。咁佢上手咧係比好重身嘅，係一個咧就係好似金牌咁樣樣嘅物質。咁而呢個物質咧其實已經係獲得咧專利註冊咗噶啦。咁而我哋咧呢個嘅光頻水咧有咩作用咧？原來咧我哋係做咗幾個唔同嘅測試啦，係光頻水係會令到螞蟻嘅能量增加，從而加快佢嘅工作嘅效能啦，同埋佢嘅生長喎。咁呢個咧就係前同後咧用光療水一個 control， 即係一個普通水啦，同埋一個用咗光頻水咧，嗰個螞蟻佢釋放出嚟 嗰個物質嗰個數量喎。咁而另外啦，喺事實證明，龍蝦入邊咧，我哋發現咗類似嘅影響。龍蝦自己無論幾大隻嘅龍蝦，佢嘅肉質都係好鮮嫩嘅，好爽脆嘅。個原因原來龍蝦咧係冇一個衰老嘅基因。咁而咧佢嘅死亡係因為俾人捕殺啦，或者係發生意外啦嚇，或者係一啲嘅受傷啦咁樣嘅，或者係佢個脫殼嘅過程產生一啲嘅變化，先至會令佢死亡。龍蝦最長壽嘅龍蝦係可能去到係200歲嘅。咁而龍蝦嘅基因，龍蝦嘅身體嘅頻率咧，就製造咗一個龍蝦水啦。就用呢個龍蝦嘅一個光頻嘅排列咧，研究出嚟呢一個嘅光療水。咁而呢個嘅龍蝦水咧，用咗出嚟咧，當佢結咗冰之後，你會見到佢係有一個排列，同一般嘅冰係唔一樣嘅。係一般嘅冰咧，我哋雪凍咗佢之後就一嚿嘢啦，係冇一個嘅排列同埋冇一個能量喺當中。而我哋咧亦都將呢一個嘅普通嘅水同埋一個光頻嘅水結冰後做咗一個變化同埋分別。咁我哋可以先睇睇我哋左手邊嗰幅圖啦。就係有用光頻咧去處理過嘅水，同埋冇光頻處理嘅水就係control啦。你會見到佢哋結咗冰之後咧，佢哋嘅形態同埋排列咧係唔同嘅。而咧，我哋喺側邊去睇咧，一般水係結冰之後咧係冇變化，即係我就結咗冰咯，咁唔會再有變化。但係我哋光頻水結出嚟嘅冰係透過時間咧係會有不段嘅變化。我哋再睇到結咗冰嘅30分鐘之後啦，2個半鐘頭之後啦，3個鐘頭15分鐘之後，你會見到呢個光頻水喺結冰之後仍然不斷地變化，因為佢係有一個能量喺當中嘅。咁而去到咧呢一個就結咗冰5個鐘頭之後嘅變化啦，見唔見到好似一個士多啤梨狀嘅冰咧？呢個咧就其實係足以證明光頻水喺結冰之後仍然不斷變化，佢亦都係一個能量喺當中去運作緊嘅。咁而呢個光療水儀嘅好處啦，咁能夠促進我哋嘅新陳代謝啦，亦都係能夠令到我哋嘅細胞加快修復，提升我哋嘅細胞能量，改善我哋嘅器官功能，配合 X39去使用效果係更理想。咁而我哋有80個人去試飲用呢一個水啦，咁有一個人80個入邊有一個2分鐘之內身體出現反應，而另外79個人咧係15秒身體就出現反應啦。咁我哋咧所有呢啲嘅試用嘅人咧，係喺一啲嘅儀器底下去觀察住佢身體嘅能量變化嘅喎。咁而咧呢一個嘅水儀啦，咁咧就將會喺明年咧2025年咧首季會推出嘅，咁會先喺美國推出。咁我哋到時咧，我哋會安排咧團購。如果有一啲嘅比較心急嘅朋友，我哋就會率先咧經由美國嘅會員咧，再幫我哋安排轉寄到去香港嘅。咁而咧，我哋亦都有supplement會推出。咁呢個supplement同樣地咧，係 support 翻我哋嘅貼片產品嘅喎。我哋嘅唔同嘅貼片，我哋嘅唔同嘅產品，能夠去幫助我哋身體激活翻我哋自己嘅細胞去運作。但係原來我哋身體有啲嘅物質，如果提升嘅時候咧，係會令到我哋呢啲嘅貼片嘅功能係提升嘅喎。尤其是有啲嘅素食者，原來佢哋嘅身體咧好難去產生鉀啊，好難咧去產生咧一啲嘅鎂呢個物質嘅，因為佢哋冇食肉啊。咁而我哋嘅營養補充品咧，正正就係補充翻咧佢哋缺失咗嘅一啲嘅物質，從而讓到佢哋嘅身體能夠有更加好嘅營養，再配合貼片去使用嘅時候咧，就係相得益彰啦。咁咧，我哋有日間使用咧嘅營養補充品啦，同埋晚間使用嘅營養補充品。咁而呢2款營養補充品咧，亦都係將會喺2025年1月份咧去推出市場嘅。咁咧，最主要咧就係幫助我哋吸收充足嘅營養，讓到我哋嘅貼片嘅產品啦，我哋嘅 Lifewave 所有嘅產品可以喺我哋嘅身體發揮得更好啊！咁而咧 Lifewave 唔單止係一間鐵片嘅公司，其實我哋已經係進展到咧係一間科技公司。你頭先亦都可以睇到啦 ，David 去分享，我哋係好 dramatic 嘅，即係話好似戲劇性咁樣樣咧。我哋有好多嘅門為我哋開神，亦都好祝福 Lifewave， 讓到 Lifewave 涉及嘅範疇非常之廣。咁我哋 Lifewave 嚟緊未來7年，將會每年都有新嘅產品推出，而呢啲產品其實而家已經發明咗，亦都係排住隊去申請緊專利嘅註冊。咁包括咗我哋有人道救援嘅無人機啦，係用作緊急伴送呢一個嘅醫療物資啦，去到災區嗰度，亦都咧佢呢個嘅無人機咧係有一個鏡頭可以攝錄咧喺災區入邊嘅狀況同埋情況，從而咧係去讓到外界知道點樣去幫助嗰個位置嘅喎。咁而由於佢哋係唔需要跑道，係可以直上直落啊，咁所以咧佢係非常之適合咧災區去救援。而呢啲嘅無人機咧，亦都係會全數贈送俾咧呢一個嘅紅十字會去作人道救援嘅工作。咁而咧 David 已經喺丹麥開咗呢間公司叫 Thundershred 咧嘅 mission， 就係雷擊使命嘅一個嘅個稱名就係雷擊啦。咁就 Thundershred 咧。咁佢其實主要咧就係一個開創一個無人機嘅先河。大部分無人機可能係一個商業用途或者一個軍事用途，但係 Lifewave David 所研發嘅無人機，佢係一個人道立場，係希望呢啲機咧係幫助到我哋人類改善未來世界環境，亦都希望咧呢一個嘅呢個機咧係可以幫助更多嘅人。而呢部機最犀利嘅地方係啲乜咧？佢嘅技術係允許無與倫比嘅發動機效率，佢係能夠咧係自然嗰個燃料係可以好長時間，亦都係一個低排放，係一個環保嘅燃料嚟嘅喎。咁亦都咧係史無前例咁樣啦，去推動到咧係可以一個好長時間去運作。咁詳情大家可以登入呢一個 website 啦，去了解呢一部嘅無人機喎。咁而咧，我哋咧亦都咧 Lifewave 嚟緊咧係支持海洋嘅清潔計劃。咁咧，我哋咧就會同 Clean Up The Ocean Clean Up 呢個機構去合作。咁我亦都入邊有個 website 啦，你哋可以入去睇下。Lifewave 會同呢一個嘅海洋清潔計劃咧去合作，去清潔唔同地方嘅一個海洋。最重點係咩咧？收集呢啲塑料垃圾，因為塑料可能係要通過1000年甚至乎10000年先至可以溶解，而塑料係對呢個地球嘅影響咧係一個非常之長久嘅影響。而 Lifewave 係一間非常之人道嘅公司，而 David 嘅發明佢唔單止淨係想賺錢，佢其實係好想去幫助呢個世界，好想我哋嘅身體獲得一個天然嘅改善，從神而來嘅智慧，去用一個無藥嘅方式去改善我哋嘅健康。咁當然佢亦都係同而家咧嘅可能一啲嘅醫療群體係可能有少少嘅衝突嘅。個原因就係而家係用藥啦，同埋西醫係用解剖學。咁而我哋嘅產品係主張身體自然嘅修復嘅。咁而支持海洋計劃係一個非常之長遠嘅宏大嘅使命，就係將海洋上邊嘅廢料、塑化料全部去收集。咁大家知唔知道呢個收集做乜嘢咧？其實咧 Lifewave 已經發明咗一個再生能源嘅機器，係令到我哋嘅家居為我哋家居提供電力。而呢啲嘅塑料原來就係收集嚟再做再生能源啊！咁呢個咧將會係改變呢個世界嘅一個非常重大嘅發明，而會將呢啲塑料轉化成再生能源，而解決塑料影響生態同埋對地球嘅損害。我相信咧，大家聽到咧，我自己都會好感動，因為咧，即係我哋跟隨緊呢一間公司，唔係淨係想賺一個快錢嘅公司，係對呢個地球、對呢個世界、對我哋嘅人類有深遠嘅愛，有深遠嘅付出，同埋願意去投放資源去研發。而呢個研發出嚟咧，係對我哋係一個長久嘅幫助嘅。 咁而咧，亦都咧，我哋係嗰個嘅光農業啦，咁其實亦都係發展咗啦。咁我哋係能夠改變未來嘅科技，未來我哋唔需要食非基因改造嘅食物。咁 David 亦都發現啦，點解有咁多嘅病？身體點解會有咁多嘅問題？因為我哋食嘅食物都出現咗問題，太多嘅基因改造。太多嘅農作物或者我哋太多嘅土壤都出現咗問題，所以我種出嚟嘅食物嘅營養冇以前咁好啦，亦都咧我哋有一個食物嘅危機喺當中，令到我哋有好多嘅身體問題，包括慢性疾病，包括癌症嘅出現。所以咧呢個光農業就係能夠讓一啲嘅植物喺好短時間透過光頻係能夠令到佢哋加速去生長，而唔用任何嘅化學物質去影響佢哋嘅培植啦。咁而呢個光農業咧，將會大範圍咁樣咧，去讓到我哋可能將來喺自己都可以種菜，咁我哋自己種就自己收，而呢一個咧係可以好快速咁樣咧，去讓到佢去生長。咁而家我哋咧係做緊一個臨床啦，係可以將一個植物咧係比原先嘅時間咧係增加3倍至4倍、5倍嘅速度去生長嘅喎。咁另外啦，有冇諗過咧？我哋未來嘅科技咧，可以先進到咧有一個嘅速效光療嘅治療倉，即係呢個治療倉，你諗下，你只係需要入去15分鐘，集中嘅光頻就能夠治愈你嘅傷患啦，係令到你自己嘅身體嘅細胞去活化，然後從而咧去做一個快速嘅治療喎。咁而呢一個咧，亦都係用光療去處理嘅喎。你又有冇諗過，我哋有嘅光療衣服着咗喺身體，就有一個嘅治療效果，就好似有幾十片嘅貼片同一時間一齊咧發揮效果咁樣喎。咁呢個光療衣服亦都同時亦都係研究咗，亦都係而家咧係進行緊臨床同埋呢個新呢個專利嘅註冊當中。另外啦，就有一個光療儀啦，通過平衡能量嘅生物電場偵測同埋診斷你身體嘅疾病嘅根源，同時去調理你嘅身體。你坐咗上去之後，佢就能夠喺你嘅身體度去掃描，知道你身體發生咩事，從而咧係讓到你咧我哋可以知道咧係你嘅問題啦，然後咧就調節翻你需要嘅頻率咧，去幫你咧做一個生物場去調整喎。咁而咧，我哋亦都有太陽能嘅汽車。呢個太陽能嘅汽車嘅驅動咧，係用儲電式嘅，係唔使充電、唔使加油嘅喎。咁咧，你諗一諗，我哋呢一個嘅Lifewave 未來嘅計劃、未來嘅發明，呢啲已經成立咗，而只不過我哋係一路排住隊去等緊一個專利註冊，所以我哋唔再係一間貼片公司，我哋係一間先進科技公司，而未來公司嘅產品將會係改變世界，亦都係一個領先嘅地位喎。David Smith 佢用神創造。佢用神嘅智慧、神嘅創造去改變翻我哋嘅世界，不斷發明一啲超高嘅科技產品，令到我哋人類同埋個環境係會變得更好，亦都令到個生態環境能夠保持平衡，令到我哋下一代仍然能夠享受一個美好嘅生活或品質同埋條件。咁呢個時候，我哋可唔可以又一齊努力，用行動嚟支持咧？行動嚟支持佢呢個理想咧？所以好希望大家加深對 Lifewave 產品嘅認識，同埋呢一間公司嘅認識。今日好長，擺咗好多嘅片段去讓大家去分享，讓大家去明白我哋公司成立嘅故事。因為呢啲嘅故事其實好有價值，好有意義。佢點樣去一路面對困難，一路都可以生存落嚟。我哋一齊支持 David 呢個好偉大嘅理想，同埋我哋一齊成為光，分享光，燃亮我哋自己嘅生命，亦都照亮他人。呢個我係覺得呢個公司呢個使命咧，係好值得我哋咧去一齊重新咧去執行嘅喎。 咁咧，我啱啱咧就去完咧越南啦。咁 Lifewave 咧其實咧係一間非常之有愛嘅公司啦。我哋係 work hard pay hard。咁你 Lifewave 啱啱我哋就去完越南呢一個 incentive trip 啦。我哋每一季咧都會有一個嘅獎勵旅遊喎。咁你知唔知我哋下一次嘅獎勵旅遊係幾時，同埋去邊度咧？我哋一齊去片啦！冇錯啦，我哋下一次嘅旅遊嘅地點咧就係巴里啊，印尼啊。咁咧我哋咧點樣去獲得呢一個嘅獎勵咧？咁咧由而家10月21號開始計算到去咧明年2月嘅23號，即係呢4個月入邊有4個月㗎嚇。咁咧而我哋咧將會出發嘅時間將會係喺4月尾出發嘅呢一個旅遊。咁點樣去獲得呢一個旅遊嘅獎賞咧？嗱，好啦，我哋咧係計分數嘅喎。咁喺而家呢段時間咧，10月21號至到明年嘅2月23日期間啦，咁我哋亞太區所有嘅國家都包括喺在內嘅嚇。咁咧，你點樣去獲得一個分數咧？我哋個人去介紹朋友加入一個 core 咧，就會獲得2分；加入一個 affiliate 進階咧，係會獲得4分；而加入一個專著 premium 咧，係會有8分嘅。咁而咧，如果咧你嘅朋友可能係加入咗 core， 跟住之後 upgrade 去 advance 或者 upgrade 去 premium 咧，我哋公司咧都會計翻呢個分數喎。喺今次嘅旅遊入邊咧 ，upgrade 都會計分數㗎，咁就會補翻相差嘅分數俾翻你嘅喎。例如你由 core upgrade 去專著咧，你就會攞得咧由2分再額外多6分，所以你總共都係攞到8分嘅喎。咁所以咧，我哋而家可以邀請朋友啦，去試用我哋嘅產品，用得好，佢中間再 upgrade 咧，同樣呢啲分數咧，你都係有份㗎。另外，如果我哋介紹嘅朋友佢成為專櫃嘅呢一個嘅會員嘅話咧，就係一個 retail 嘅 customer 啦嚇。preferred customer 我哋叫做優選客戶，佢設立每個月嘅自動轉帳咧，咁呢啲嘅戶口咧，你都可以獲得1分嘅喎。另外咧就係你自己升職啦，原來咧喺呢一個獎勵計劃入邊，只要你升職咧喺呢段期間，你本身係冇職級，你升職去 manager 係有10分嘅，升咗職去 director 係再加15分。如果你升職去咗 senior director 就係有20分喎。咁你諗下，如果新加入嘅朋友，你升職去 senior director， 即係前後咧，你已經有幾多分啊？有45分嘅啦。跟住如果你呢段時間再升職去executive director， 又另外有30分喎。再升職去 presidential director 咧係有40分，而成為 SPD 啦，即係 senior presidential director 資深總裁就有50分啊。所以淨係透過升職咧，你都已經獲得呢個門券去巴黎啦。咁另外啦，如果你嘅直屬下線，你直接介紹嘅朋友係計你直接介紹嘅朋友啦，佢升做經理咧，你有5分；佢升做 director 咧有7分。咁你升做咧 senior director 有10分。如果佢係不斷咁樣升咧，呢個分數都係會加上去嘅喎。咁去到咧 senior presidential director 咧係有25分嘅，咁即係都好犀利嘅，好多分可以計到喎。咁而咧你自己嘅職級啦，例如你而家係 manager， 你只要每星期都維持你 manager 呢個職級咧，你每星期都有1分喎。咁 manager、director、senior director 都係1分嘅。咁如果 executive director 啦、presidential director 同埋 senior presidential director 咧，就每個星期係計2分嘅喎。咁你諗下，有4個月嚇，有4個月1個月咧有4個星期，4就16喎嚇。咁啊最少16個星期咧，咁你呢度已經有坐底，又有一個分數啦，16分或者係有32分嘅咯喎。好啦，咁我哋點樣獲得獎勵咧？就係儲夠100分嘅， 就有1位免費去巴黎旅行啦。如果你係儲夠140分咧，就可以有2個位嘅咯喎，2個名額咯喎。咁所以我哋梗係努力做140分啦。咁我哋就可以同我哋嘅伴侶啦，或者可以帶咗一個朋友咧，同我哋一齊去5星級之旅啊！咁就係 Lifewave 嘅5星級之旅咧，係唔開會嘅，係真係純粹去玩嘅啫。咁我哋只係有1晚就係一齊咧，係一個 gala dinner 一齊食一餐晚飯嘅啫。咁所以咧，我好 enjoy 去參加呢啲嘅incentive trip 啦，因為我哋會見到當中一齊經營好努力嘅 partner 啦，喺唔同嘅地方去嚟嘅。例如有世界唔同各地，我哋嘅亞太區嘅旅人1年有2次嘅。另外咧，亦都有全球嘅旅遊嘅喎。咁我希望咧，我都帶呢個資訊俾大家，要大家知道啦，而家已經開始計算嘅咯喎。咁你都可以咧計下自己已經攞咗幾多分啦。咁我哋向住140分嘅目標進發。今次咧，我哋去越南咧有8位香港嘅朋友參加。我好希望咧喺巴黎之旅咧，我哋咧可以增加到咧最少20位人咧都係可以去到嘅喎。咁咧獲獎嘅人數係自己計自己嘅分數，所以係冇封頂冇上限嘅。你只要自己做到就即時會有得去㗎啦。好啦，咁咧我亦都咧喺 YouTube channel 啦，無約世界嗰度咧，將我哋咧個 convention 咧嘅短片全部上載晒上去，成個 full version 喺度㗎啦。咁大家有時間咧，真係好鼓勵大家去了解下我哋公司今次咧Be the Light 呢個 conference 嘅內容，因為非常之豐富，亦都有好多唔同嘅提醒，同埋公司未來嘅發展、未來嘅科技咧，其實正就係我哋點解要加入呢間公司，同埋我點解要用呢間公司嘅產品，因為呢間公司係非常之有抱負，同埋佢所有嘅產品都有臨床驗證，係當今而家世上最多專利註冊嘅一間公司。我哋一共有超過140個專利註冊啦，一間直銷公司有140個專利註冊，喺我哋行內係只有 Lifewave 係有咁多專利註冊嘅，而佢每一個產品都有做臨床實證，所以我哋所講嘅嘢，我哋所同人哋提供嘅資料，全部有根有據，有報告去證實嘅喎。咁咧，我今日咧嘅分享就去到呢度啦。咁咧，唔知大家咧有冇啲咩問題想問咧？咁好開心今晚同大家可以有咁多嘅分享啦。咁亦都咧希望大家對 Lifewave 嘅公司了解更多嘅時候咧，其實你更加有信心去自己用產品，同埋將呢個產品去同我哋身邊有需要嘅朋友去分享啊。因為當我哋分享嘅時候咧，我哋先至咧能夠幫助到我哋身邊更多嘅朋友喎。咁亦都咧好希望啦，我哋咧係更多人認識嘅時候，更多人分享嘅時候，我哋其實就係間接幫助好多唔同嘅有需要嘅朋友。其實我喺分享嘅過程咧，我擺喺 Facebook、擺喺 YouTube，其實好多朋友我其實完全唔識佢哋嘅，係佢見到我個分享，佢就走嚟問我究竟呢個情況可唔可以試下？咁我全部都係鼓勵佢哋試咗先，因為我哋公司咧係有100%退款嘅保障。咁如果我哋係首次加入嘅朋友，係我哋嘅零售會員咧，係有90日嘅退款保障，即係話佢用完嗰包 X39嘅產品，都依然可以申請退款。咁如果係我哋咧嘅合作夥伴用 brand partner 加入咧，我哋就有30日嘅試用保障啦。咁由你登記至購買嗰一日開始計算，30日內，只要你想退款嘅話咧，你唔需要任何理由嘅，係直接 send email 去公司。咁所以我哋好希望透過呢個機制，我哋可以幫助身邊更多嘅朋友去試用、了解 Lifewave 嘅產品，從而佢哋貼喺佢哋嘅身上，獲得一個好處。唔得唔緊要，都仲有得退錢。如果得嘅，你諗下，我哋可以幫助到好多嘅人。希望咧，我今晚嘅分享亦都可以讓到你了解 Lifewave 未來更多，亦都讓到你有信心去繼續用 Lifewave 嘅產品。好，我哋今晚嘅時間差唔多啦，有冇朋友有問題問咧？好。如果冇嘅話咧，咁我哋去到呢度 拜拜，晚安啦，
拜拜。
拜拜。